Welcome to Intuitive Mind Lab Radio, where science meets spirituality and unravels the mystery of the mind and the universe. I'm your host, Lindsay Goodwin. Buckle up because we're about to upgrade your mind and master your life. Welcome to Intuitive Mind Lab Radio. Welcome back to Intuitive Mind Lab Radio. I am so excited that you have joined me for yet another episode today here on Intuitive Mind Lab Radio for a mind-blowing and inspiring episode as we are going to go through some deeply transformational tips for your spiritual awakening. And I have to say, spiritual growth, it changes you. Going through a spiritual awakening, it changes you like change is the word, because you go into deep isolation. You forget who you were before. Relationships go away. You just feel like a completely different person. And there is a reason for that. And the reason really is that without that isolation, you wouldn't be able to go within and really listen to who you truly are. And so that is why so much is removed and why you feel so alone in this. And I want you to know that you are not alone, that you always have your higher self. You always have your spiritual team. And listening to that, if you can build, which I know that you can, if you can build a strong connection with what you truly are, that internal part of you, the infinite creator, the infinite consciousness, the energy that just keeps you going, that is you. And you're supposed to be here if you're still here. And remembering, I know that in very dark moments that I've had where I felt like I just didn't want to go on anymore. And there was always this fight within me to keep going. And in Eastern philosophy, it's about tapping into the warrior within. This is a simulation. You got to remember who you truly are. You've got to wake up. And so really, if you're not familiar with it, what a simulation is essentially that you're playing in a virtual reality and you get to choose what it is that and you want and how your life is going to play out. And can I guarantee that you're going to be able to choose everything? No, but you can choose your energy. You can choose the frequency that you choose to be on. You can choose your mindset. You can choose what consciousness you're going to buy into. Everything is consciousness. Really being able to get into that warrior mode. And I'm not talking about warrior mode of the fight or flight, of messing up your hormones or creating imbalance in your physical body. I'm talking about remembering who you are, remembering that energy that's within, that's pushing you to keep going is your higher self, to keep going, because being in this physical experience is such an incredible gift. And you chose to be here. And essentially, really, you are God or universe or source, divine, whatever you feel you resonate with. You are that. We all are. You're just experiencing that infinite energy in a different version of itself. So you're never separate from prosperity and abundance and fertility. And it's all the same thing. You're never separate from it because you already are that. You were born into this world that, and science is now even discovering that even when the embryo when the egg and the sperm meet, that there's an electrical charge, which is actually showing that we are a frequency. So science is showing us a lot for those that need proof. And I'm all about integrating the science with the spiritual. I think it's beautiful that we can actually do that. And we live in a time where we're starting to see that. It's such an incredible gift. So for today's episode, I'm going to share 5 things with you, like I stated before, that I actually stopped doing when I became spiritually awakened and aligned with my infinite creator within. And just to state, we are always growing. So you're never done. So you get to one place and then you're doing something else. And so you're always growing and evolving. And even when you grow, like, I guess I should say more when you transition out of your physical experience and you wake up, because this human experience is a dream essentially, and you wake up to the full infinite creator that you are, and you remember everything that you are, you're never, ever done. You continue to keep evolving and growing. So the more that you can get used to that and loving that, the more that you are going to love the experience, and rather than resisting the growth and the evolving. And so these shifts that I'm going to talk about, they might sound simple, but they were so profound in helping me to raise my vibration and live more authentically. And I'm going to be very authentic today. That is one thing about me. I say it like it is. I'm going to talk with you about how to prepare and protect yourself. I've never really been a super social person. And when I was younger, I thought there was something wrong with me. Even into my adulthood, I thought that there was something wrong with me, that I wasn't a super social person, that I was more introvert. And now that I have had actually several spiritual awakenings, it was difficult for me before I was awake to realize certain things about myself. I thought there was something wrong with me. And then, of course, being a born intuitive medium, I never really fit in. And so I've never really been someone that is a huge social person anyway. But as I've awakened, I've really realized how fake most people are. And I'm not saying everyone. If you're listening to this, most likely it's not you. Being fake is a frequency that you're choosing. And what really does fake mean? Well, what it truly means is that you're not being authentic. You might be a follower. You might still be judging someone because they're not where you are. It's just, I see so much of it in the spiritual community and the new age community. In fact, I've met more narcissistic people in that community than I think I have outside of it. And I'm not quite sure what the reason is for that. The only thing that I can really come up with, and I don't try to get too deep into energies, because also what you're focusing on, you'll attract more of that. So I don't want to focus too much on it, and I don't want you to either. But I want you to be aware of it and listen to your intuition. Is that I feel that there's just this ego about trying to come across as knowing everything and being such a, in quotes, a good person. In fact, it's quite common with narcissistic people that they actually will choose jobs like doctors or psychologists or taking care of vulnerable people to actually come across as that they are trustworthy. And so maybe some of it is that as well. But I know that now the new age spiritual community has gotten so big, and so many people want to jump on it because it's a trend. And it could be that as well. But I just really want you to be really aware and listen to your intuition. That's really why I'm bringing it up. And what I learned from it too is not to go against my intuition when I feel that something doesn't resonate with me, or someone doesn't feel like they actually are trustworthy, even though they might be a spiritual healer and a shaman and a life coach, Reiki practitioner, energy healer, and there's so many fake psychics. That's why I do not call myself a psychic. I'm an intuitive medium, very different energy. And people that do call themselves a psychic, I'm not saying every psychic is fake. And I do believe that there's a lot of psychics or mediums that are really legit, but it doesn't mean that they're spiritually awake. It doesn't mean that their intentions are always good. So you have to be very careful. And intention is a really good word to think about. What are someone's intentions? Okay. And with anyone that's narcissistic or manipulative, their intentions are to actually get you to do what they want you to do for their own self gain. So this is why your intuition is just pinging off. Like, it's just sending you all kinds of signals. Get away from this person. This isn't your vibe. This isn't your group of people. Even content that you're consuming and listening to, that's something I'll talk about in a second. Like, your intuition's trying to tell you, and it might come through your body. It might get that if you're clairvoyant, you might see an image. You might get ringing in your ears. There's a lot of different ways that your higher self and intuition is going to communicate with you. And you do have a spiritual intuition, and you also have a body intuition. in consciousness, you have a physical brain and you also have a spiritual brain in the world of different layers of consciousness. Please listen to that and don't feel guilty about it. I think that's what took me a long time to come to realization with this is that I felt guilty. I felt that, well, they have such great following and people really like them. And why would I think that way about this person? Well, just because people like them does not mean that they have good intentions or that they're legit. Because people, that's the next thing I want to talk about. People that have a ton of followers, probably many of them are actually not legit and they're not authentic. Because to truly be authentic means that probably a lot of people are not going to understand you or vibe with you. So if you have such a huge following, that's an indication that you're probably not authentic because not that many people are awake, is essentially what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. So those lone wolfers that really do their own thing and are not concerned about having the perfect pictures of, having the singing bowls and the flowing outfit and all the crystals around them. And not saying I don't have pictures like this, but you know what I'm talking about. That it's more about the image of it versus the actual authenticity of who you are. So it's a business, essentially, is what it is. I do content creation because I'm here to spread a message and I'm here to awaken the people that I'm meant to awaken. And it took me a long time to get over imposter syndrome of really being able to come to terms that this is what I'm here for and that it's not about how many followers there are or how many likes there are or who likes me and doesn't like me. I mean, if you like me, I love that. But it's more about that I need to spread the message that I'm channeling and my unique gifts and light to be able to share it with the people that are meant to hear it. And it's the same with you, that if you're not sharing it because you're concerned about the followers and if people are going to actually receive you and like you, and if you're going to be as good as this person or that person, or maybe you think you're weird, or I was the weird kid. Like being the weird kid is awesome. It's amazing because it's showing that you're actually being authentic. Just understand that if you are someone that's thinking about being more open with who you are, please do it. We need your energy. We need you to put yourself in the puzzle because I think of everybody as this puzzle piece that's part of this amazing masterpiece. We need you in there. Even the people that are fake, we need them too, because everyone's playing a role in this virtual reality. And it really essentially is a masterpiece. But I just want you to be who you are. Just allow yourself to do that without being nervous about being who you are. And so, but one thing I want to say is that once you're truly awake, and you may already know this, but you'll start to really see people's disharmonies and traumas all over them. Like you can see it like a mile away. They come walking up to you or they open their mouth and the first like 5, 10, 30 seconds, couple of minutes maybe you'll notice that they're not your vibe. It's just so easy once you start really listening to your intuition that you start reading people, and it's not a judgment. It's just that you're protecting your energy, because remembering that your energy is the most sacred asset that you have. It's the most valuable asset. It's not your car, it's not your house, it's not your status in life, it's not what you look like on social media. It's not your job title. It is your energy. So be careful where you are putting your energy because you'll get entangled in things. And once you get entangled in something, it can be hard to get out of it. Listen to that intuition so you don't get entangled. But there's a lot of people wearing masks and they're really hiding behind someone that hasn't really done the work. And like I was stating, a lot of it is in the spiritual community or in communities where people portray themselves as being trustworthy. You can't just take courses and read books and not do the work. I was the queen of that. I took so many courses, read so many books, but then I was on to the next thing. You have to actually do the work, and the universe will make you do the work, and it will keep getting harder until you actually are doing the work. And if you are someone that has a very, very strong purpose of awakening others on this earth and this journey, the universe is going to be harder on you to wake up. And it's not going to stop until you start finally getting it. And also, this is just kind of a little joke. I make jokes. This is what I'm saying. Also, I cannot stand the love and light culture. It is so overused and everyone uses it. And I really wonder who really means it when they say it. It's just like you walk up to somebody and they ask you how you are. Do you really care about how I am? Probably a good portion of people that ask you that do not care how you're doing, because you'll know, because they'll ask you how you are and then they just walk away when you're getting ready to say it, or they interrupt you. We have to be really careful what we're doing, like what we're resonating with. If you're going to say love and light, actually send people love and light and mean it. So I don't use it. I'm not a big fan of it. I also am not a big fan, never was, of the live, laugh, love, or whatever that saying was. I mean, seriously, these trends are they just make me laugh. But I side with the lone wolfers that choose to do their own thing and remain authentic. I mean, I was very into the gothic community when I was a teenager. I think, a lot of people that were into that movement were artists and definitely misfits in society, I guess you could say. Who cares about society? But just this authentic energy. Just felt like I didn't belong. And I tried. I tried so much to be open. And for a long time, I thought it was me. And actually, it was me. It was me saying that that's not for you. So definitely trust yourself. And some of these relationships that are going to transition out of your life are going to be some of the most important relationships that you thought were important to you. And maybe some people won't totally go away, but they'll become less significant in your life, or maybe you don't put them on a pedestal anymore. And it could be family. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can still love your family and have strong boundaries with them. You have to do that. So intentionally spend time with people that uplift you. And you have to, because if you're around people that are draining your energy or trying to intervene in your new version of yourself that you're growing into, in this higher version of you and your awakening, they could really hold you back. So another thing I stopped doing is I really stopped telling people about what I was doing. There's also the evil eye, which I'm not going to talk about that too much, but don't tell people. If you have a great idea, something that you're working on, keep it to yourself. Because people, even though they might not realize that they're doing it, some people can be very jealous of you. And they'll start thinking about, why is this not happening for me? Why is that happening for them? And that's evil eye energy, is when people are actually not happy for you and they are jealous of you. And this could be your own family. This could be your best friend. Wait a while until you have quite a bit of momentum in it, like 3 to 6 months. Just give it time, okay, before you announce it to everybody. The second thing is, I have stopped ignoring my intuition. I talked about that earlier, but please do not ignore your intuition. You'll save yourself so much BS if you don't go against your intuition. Stop people pleasing. For so long, I was constantly trying to keep the peace, in quotes, keep the peace. Even when my gut was screaming at me, and I was overriding my intuition because I didn't want to rock the boat or disappoint somebody. The person that you're disappointing is you. The person that you are overriding is yourself. The person that you are not keeping the peace with is you. That's why people pleasing doesn't work. And I don't care where it's at. It could be in your family. It could be between people at work. It could be, don't do that. Don't people please. Don't try to keep the peace. That is the stupidest saying that anyone ever made, because it's limitation. I'm not suggesting that you go out and start arguing with everybody and causing problems. Of course, you're not going to do that. You're more awake than that. It's about realizing that I feel the way that I feel. And if you don't like that, then that's about you. Okay. So you have to put yourself on the pedestal. Do not put anyone else on the pedestal. And anyone that cannot understand that you have boundaries and that you respect yourself, guess what? They don't respect themselves. Because people that truly love themselves and respect themselves have respect for people respecting their boundaries and themselves. So don't keep the peace. If something isn't resonating with you, just walk away. Don't give it any more energy. Let it just don't try to keep the peace. It's not your job to make other people happy. It's your job to make yourself happy. Because when you work on your own happiness, then that will help others around you. You have to focus on yourself first. But through my awakening, I also discovered the power of my wisdom and my inner voice. Listening to my own intuition became like a spiritual GPS, which your intuition is your GPS. Think of it this way. You get into a car and you just trust that the GPS is going to take you to where you're going. You've never been there before. Let's just use that scenario. You've never actually been there before. And so you don't second guess and think, well, I hope it gets me to the right direction or destination. I mean, maybe you do. But you're trusting that the GPS is going to get you to where you need to go. Your intuition is the same thing. I heard someone say yesterday that you make a phone call. Say you're calling like your doctor's office or something, and someone's always going to be there. It's a big doctor's office, and there's always a receptionist or a couple of receptionists. And you call, you don't doubt and say, well, no one's going to pick up the phone. No, someone's going to pick up the phone. And they do, most likely, most of the time. And so this is all about how the universe is always taking care of you, just like your intuition. Like there's always an answer on the other end. You just have to trust it. Okay, I digressed a little bit there, but you just have to trust it. You have to understand that your intuition is always guiding you to your greatest and highest good. It's your higher self. There's no one else in this world that you're going to be able to trust like you can trust yourself. You can't even do that with your mom. You can't. Because everyone always has their own agenda. Even if their intentions are good, they still are not you. You have to trust yourself. I remember a time when I ignored my intuition about a job opportunity. And my heart kept telling me this isn't aligned with you. But my logical mind took over. And fast forward, I made the decision to take that job, which led me into burnout and unhappiness. And that job was in publishing. And that was my last corporate job. I knew it wasn't for me. I'm not into the cliche lingo, and the small talk. Oh man, small talk is not my thing. And probably not you either. If you're listening to this podcast, you have to listen. Because most of the time, 99.99999% of the time, you're going to end up with the same exact result that your intuition told you were going to end up with. It's just how it works. So now I honor my intuition without any hesitation because I know that connecting to my truest self is what's guiding me to all of my desires. Remembering this is a simulation, and that when you listen to the intuition, which is the computer system, that you are going to get to the destination that you want. And there's many destinations. Like, I don't want you to think I only live for the destination. I want you to enjoy what's in between the destination as well. The whole experience, even when you feel like shit. I want you to enjoy that too. I know that can be hard, but you look back on it in hindsight and you think, I'm really glad that I went through that. So if you are someone that feels like crap right now, just know that it gets better. Keep listening to this podcast. I have so much inspiration for you. Third thing is I stopped drinking alcohol. And I used to love wine. I was a big wine person. And this one's really big for me. And what I realized is that alcohol changes your vibrational frequency. And it makes it so that you become aligned with lower frequency mindsets. And really, essentially, when people talk about demons, those are just mindsets within yourself. Those are not these demons outside of you. And then with narcissistic people, I've seen demons and narcissistic people. Those are their own energies. They're choosing to vibe with that consciousness. So I won't get too much into that. I can talk about that another time, but that's what alcohol does, is it awakens these energies within your own consciousness that you don't want to jive with, you don't want to vibe with. And it also attracts people to you that are on the same frequency. That's why when people, and also why alcohol is called spirits. That's why when people drink, they make decisions that are not generally the decisions that they would have made if they were in a higher vibrational frequency of themselves. And they end up hanging around with other people that are making similar sort of decisions. And so it creates holes in your aura, is essentially how you can think of it as. It's attracting situations and other consciousness to you, and within you. Everything's within, but it's attracting to you energies that you don't want to jive with. And that's also, there's scientific proof of this. It makes the brain swell, it causes dehydration, but your body is always a messenger from the soul. So it's almost like it's poisoning your soul and your body. It's poisoning your energy field. So can you have a drink once in a while? If that's something that you resonate with, I don't think it's the worst thing. I don't recommend it, especially when you're trying to awaken. I think that you will find that you'll get to a certain place, and maybe you're already here or there, that you just won't even crave it anymore. Because alcohol really is, people choose to drink because they're trying to hide behind something. It's like the old thing, like, oh, I can't wait to get home and have a beer because I had a stressful day. Well, why did you have a stressful day? Why are you allowing yourself to be around people that stress you out, or situations that stress you out? Or maybe it's you. Maybe you stress yourself out. Why can't you find it within yourself to heal what needs to be healed, so you don't have that stress anymore and attract those sort of situations? You can leave. And I know that things sound easier said than done, but we have to choose ourselves. And the longer, this is something that we often see, is that many people will choose to live the same life over and over again in a loop because they don't want to do the work, or it's harder to leave a marriage that isn't working, or to leave a job that they make tons of money and how would I get a new one, or leave my job to start a business. And so they keep living this life that is eating them. And so it actually is a lifetime. When people say a lifetime, you are living a lifetime of unhappiness when you could just change something, and it'll be really uncomfortable for a little while, but it's going to change. So thinking about that, it's really important to remember that it can be uncomfortable for a minute, but it's more uncomfortable to keep living the same loop over and over again. Because if we don't make a change, remembering it's not the people, it's the pattern. If we don't make a change, those same situations will just come back in someone else, another situation. So you really have to be honest with yourself and really realize that I have to put myself first. I also stopped listening to mainstream media and music. I've never been into celebrities, but now we know, and that's not the only thing I'm going to talk about. Now we know that so much of that's being exposed because it's fake. And music is also attuned to a lower vibrational frequency. So be very careful what you're consuming. And also, when you're consuming music and it's creating emotion within you, you're manifesting. So if you're listening to music that has a very sad tone to it, that is about sadness and the victim and I don't have enough money and my ex left me and everyone always, that sort of stuff, like the victim. the sad, the low vibrational frequencies. Not saying sadness is not necessary, because it's an emotion that we all feel. You have to feel your emotions. But that sort of music and rap music, like all the gangster rap and the stuff that's talking about the negative stuff about doing this to who, and killing, and it's not just rap. I'm just using it as an example. You're resonating with frequencies. It's not just about you listening to music. You're resonating with frequencies that are making it so that you're resonating with a lower frequency. And I ask you the question, do you really want to be resonating with lower frequencies that could be creating that sort of reality for you? I'm not saying that if you listen to sad music, it's necessarily going to be exactly the same as what the music is saying. But if you're listening to music that's about victimhood, you could attract people into your life that are victims, that play the victimhood. And I'm not saying that people cannot be victims. I mean, I was robbed at gunpoint in 2017. I absolutely was a victim, but I also I reframed it into what I experienced about that near-death experience, that it awakened me. As well as I had a very tough stalking situation. And there was a lot of emotions that were happening with that situation. I felt very trapped and victimized. But what I realized is that was to help me to be able to help you. So we can always turn things around rather than seeing things as a victim. And it's okay to see things as a victim for a minute, for a little bit, but you got to flip the script. You can't be in victim mode forever and expect the universe to be sending you abundance. If you're in victim mode, you're just going to get more victim. And that's why people continue to have, and I'm not saying it's necessarily you, but continue to have the same situation showing up. They get out of one relationship where they were treated bad, and then they get into another one where they're treated bad because they don't make the change. They don't change why they got into the first relationship in the first place, why they chose someone like that. Why did I attract someone like that? Am I playing the victim? Am I attracted to people that play the victim? These are on subconscious layer levels. Back to frequency and media and music. And the other thing is, politics are fake. I stopped paying attention to politics a long time ago. They're fake. Anyone that's paying attention to politics, you're not truly awake. And I'm not necessarily saying you. It's just I know that with this last election, there was a lot of people, big people. I'm not going to say any names because I don't do that, but big people. Again, we're talking about some of these healers that have tons of followers. We're talking about politics. And I lost respect for them, because if you're truly aligned and awake, you don't pay attention to stuff like that because you know it's an illusion. It's an illusion. They're a part of the same bird. They're not separate. It's all about control. It's fear-based. It's trying to keep the masses in a place of fear so that they don't evolve and awaken the infinite energies within themselves. Exactly what this podcast is about. So it just doesn't resonate. And it won't with you either, or maybe it doesn't already. That when you are truly awake, you don't pay attention to stuff like that. You're not interested in the Super Bowl. You're not interested in watching, sports are rigged too. You're not interested in watching that. It's all a business. You're interested in other things like connecting with nature, connecting with other people that have great ideas about consciousness, and, connecting with animals and connecting with kids and cooking and really thinking about the intention you're putting in the food, bettering yourself. These are things that you're into when you're awake. You're really enjoying the human experience rather than buying into illusions. So we really have to be very intentional about what we're consuming. And that's not just in major media or politics. I'm also talking, or sports, I'm also talking about podcast, news sources. Most news is crap. It's all fear-based. I'm sure that you know that. Different music that you're listening to. I think most music, like early 70s into the, before that, is probably better. any of the new music, unless it's spiritual music, like stuff that's based on brainwaves and frequencies. That's different. Classical, I'm talking about like mainstream music. Again, I'm not going to name any names because I don't do that, but mainstream music. And one thing that also to realize when you are spiritually awake, that celebrities are just people. I remember when I worked in the nightclubs industry, I did a lot of modeling back in the day, and in Chicago, that famous people would come in, famous, and I didn't have any reaction. People are just going after, they just so excited that so and so is in the club, and I'm just kind of like, why do people get so excited about that? They're just people. They're just other people just trying to figure it out like you and I. I suggest making a playlist that really helps you to influence your mindset and your energy. And I highly recommend looking into brainwave frequencies. I can do more podcast on that, but theta waves, that's kind of puts you to sleep, or it's in between sleep and wake. But that's a hypnotic state. So I definitely don't recommend listening to that while driving. But the God frequency is really powerful, and that's 936 hertz. And I would recommend that. Putting some classical, Beethoven. I know that music's kind of dark, but it was dark in a good way. The darkness is not always bad. Nothing is actually bad. Everything is just, it's all consciousness. It's what meaning you give to things. And the last one, probably my favorite, is I stopped giving a shit about what people think. Most powerful. And why is this such a game changer? Because life is so short. Life is too short to care about what people think. Everyone's always going to, I shouldn't say everyone, people are always going to have a version of you in their head, whether it's good or bad, whether it's positive or not. They're always going to think the way they want to think about you. And honestly, it's none of your business. Because we can think whatever we want, right? That's our own business. But we can't look for external validation. If you're looking for external validation, you are going to attract people into your life that are going to show you that you're unworthy. Or you could attract people that show you that you're worthy. But do you really feel worthy on the inside? Do you really feel whole? And when you're looking for external validation, whether you're getting it or not, you're going to get something. You are not going to feel validated to yourself. Anyone that has this whole persona about them that they're so confident but they're looking for external validation, they need that to thrive. They're not confident. They're actually very insecure. And this is where I was talking about. You can see this all over people when you're spiritually awake. When you're listening to your intuition and your higher self, you see it and you don't judge them. This is not a judgment. This is about that they're concerned about the external reality. So spiritually awakening taught me to focus on inward versus outward. And that started to make it so that I was focusing on my own decisions versus appearance or success or validation from others. Because what really matters is that I feel aligned and fulfilled. This is not about anyone else feeling fulfilled. This is about me feeling fulfilled. Because if I feel fulfilled, that means that others around me will feel fulfilled. And if they don't, then that's not about me. Okay? And so, and also comparing yourself to others. Remembering that everyone is on their own spiritual journey. Everyone's on their own journey, whether on a spiritual, well, it's all spiritual journey, but everyone's on their own journey. And there are so many people, like, for example, on social media that are posting that their life is so great and look at me, but they're really very empty on the inside. We cannot compare our lives. And even if they are fulfilled, that's great. Love it. You can't compare yourself to anyone else because you're on a different journey than anyone else. And it's designed to be that way. So when we accept that, That's when the manifestation and the awakening of you, who you truly are, really starts happening. So this really unlocked a level of freedom and self-love that I didn't even know was possible within myself when I stopped comparing myself to others or feeling like, again, people pleasing, or that I had to be like other people. So if you find that this resonates with you, I want you to remind yourself, no one else gets to walk your path but you. And that path is so abundant because it's you. There's no one else on this earth, in this whole universe, that's you. So no one else's opinions, validation, it has nothing to do with who you truly are. So these 5 shifts really inspired me to reflect on my own spiritual path, and I hope that they can help you as well. Whether you're just starting out or well on your way, I want you, again, to remember that this is your journey. I want you to give yourself permission to grow and release what no longer serves you. And I want you to show up as the beautiful, amazing light and aligned being that you truly are, the infinite creator. Please show up. I need you. The world needs you. And if you've enjoyed this episode today, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot us over a comment or let us know if you have a question. Share your thoughts on Instagram or social media. We are on every platform, including YouTube, TikTok, and as well as Facebook. You can leave a review on this podcast for this episode or any other episode that you're listening to. We would absolutely appreciate it, as well as follow us so you can get more great content. And also, any of these reflections and conversations on spirituality and self-growth, as well as manifestation, wellness, and health, consciousness, the infinite creator that you are, so much more is in store for you. I have so many great episodes that are coming here at Intuitive Mind Lab Radio. And until next time, I want you to stay aligned, stay awakened, and keep shining that amazing light.